many times have you heard it's the gamers that are really ruining cowboy action shooting? Now, I've only been shooting cowboy action for a couple years, but it's something that I've heard pretty much since day one is about these gamers. What I'd like to do in this video is I want to talk about what the heck is a gamer, why they could be bad for the sport, why they could be good for the sport, and then really what's the prevalence? How many of them are there out there? Let's break it down. So what comes to mind when you think of a gamer? Is it someone that plays Xbox and Lethal Enforcer? Probably not what we're thinking about when we think about gaming and cowboy action. To me, a gamer is someone that wants to put up the fastest possible score under any means necessary and cares only about going fast and winning. And that is, to me, what the definition of a gamer is. So why are gamers bad for the sport? Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one is it really takes away from the richness and the diversity of the sport by limiting the amount of firearms and things that you will see. This is an 1873 short-stroked rifle. It is the fastest gun in cowboy action. All the top shooters shoot this. If you want to be competitive, if you want to win, this is the rifle you need, and you need the gunsmithing to do that. And similar, the SKB or the BSS for the shotguns, and probably the Ruger new model Vaqueros with gunsmithing is really what you need to compete. Now, you can do it with other guns. Don't get me wrong, 66 can run very, very fast, but your skill level has to be a little bit higher to run, another gun as fast as this guy. What this does is it kind of pushes everybody who wants to win into shooting this rifle and this very certain set of guns. And one of the great things about cowboy action to me is that diversity, both in firearms, costuming, different things like that nature. So that's probably the biggest thing. The second thing that goes hand in hand with that is if you want to be competitive, you got to put almost $3,000 into this rifle with this setup in order to do it. Now, that really raises that barrier of entry really high for people that are getting into the sport and truly wanting to compete and be the best. So that is something that the gaming aspect of it, I think really hurts the diversity, kind of pigeonholes people into shooting very particular guns and setups in order to put up those fast scores. The other thing that happens with gamers, since they're only concerned with going fast and winning, they aren't as concerned with the other aspects of the sport, the camaraderie, the costuming, the historical accuracy and things. So if you go to a cowboy match that everyone is really into cowboys, everyone is there to celebrate the sport and the guns and the era, and they're all dressed up in really appropriate cowboy attire. And they've got, a wide variety of these different Old West guns. It's something to behold. It is really, really cool. Somebody that has a $16 shirt that they got at Target, and $10,000 worth of guns kind of takes away from that feel. So I think those are the big issues, with gamers in the sport. But are there positives? If I'm honest, some of those negatives really drive some positives. We talked about this 1873 and this, this short stroke kit that you can get for it. Well, the fact that you can get that kit, the fact that they are producing this rifle and continue to produce it and modify it to make it faster for cowboy action, is really because of those people that are trying to shoot these guns as fast as possible. It is driving a secondary economy for parts, gunsmithing, and even a primary economy for the guns themselves. They are continuing to manufacture these really cool Old West firearms because Cass, as a sport, is using them. You think about Ruger putting out that SAS edition of the Vaquero, right? That's not because cowboy action shooting is boring and we're going slow and we don't care what we're shooting. That's because people are really pushing the boundaries of what these guns can do and trying to get faster and faster guns. And that is driving, smithing and guys. This one was done by Jimmy Spurs, who's an incredible cowboy action a gunsmith and shootist. And there's a lot of guys like that, and a lot of guys that are putting out these parts and making these cool guns run really well in this competition. And I think that is driven by people trying to shoot as fast as possible. So, like it or not, the fact that I own this and I could get this, is because of people running fast in cowboy action. You know, there are a lot of really cool guns. The Whitney Wolverine, coolest gun ever made. You know, we won't find a reproduction of that. No one's trying to shoot that in competitions. No one has any incentive to make that gun. But the 73 is not in that position because of cowboy action. I think that is something that is really cool. Also, if you think about gamers, like I would consider myself a pretty active cowboy action shooter in that I shoot twice a month, right? So every other week I go out and I do cowboy action at one of the groups that's around me. The people that I think of that come to mind when people say gamers, who we'll talk about, I don't think they're really gamers, but they shoot 8 times a month. Okay, think about that. They're paying range fees, they're paying club fees, they're doing these big matches, they're putting money into that. The amount of money that they are putting into CAS is way more than I'm putting in. And the amount of effort and gear and everything else that they're doing is really driving more people to learn about the sport, right? If you think about that, if I put up a video of me shooting a 30-second stage and I put up a video of Polly Wanda Cracker, who's won End of Trail women's overall this last year, who I shoot with, I constantly get beat by Polly. But if I put up a video of her doing the same stage in half the time, 15-second stage, what do you think gets more watches and more likes and stuff? It's her video. And that's great because that video then introduces more and more people to the sport. I know about cowboy action because 1, I saw Cowboy Town at my range, but 2, just from online videos of people shooting these guns really fast. And I was like, I like those guns and what they're doing is really cool. I want to be involved, and here I am. So the gamers, they are driving interest. They are driving manufacture of these guns and ammunitions, and you got companies that are working and constantly improving the gear. Think of just like the innovations and like holsters and things that like Mernicle and Kirkpatrick have done in the last couple of years. Like that's because of people trying to run these guns as fast as possible, right? And the fact that we can hunt down and we can get the Cowboys and Indians kit or the Shotgun Boogie kit. We can get these spring kits and these aftermarket parts easily. Just absolutely easily to do this, and as well as find the information available that we can install some of these things on our own without a gunsmith. That's incredible. That is driven by people trying to shoot as fast as possible. So I think that is something that you got to give some credit where the credit is due. That is something that is brought to us courtesy of the gamers. Now again, I've only been shooting cowboy action for a couple of years now, so you can take this with a grain of salt if you want to, but I don't think there's a gamer issue in cowboy action. As far as prevalence of gamers go, I have never seen a gamer. I have never seen someone that is only interested in going fast. The top level shooters that are putting up these incredible stage times at the matches I go to, and even the bigger matches I've seen, they're picking brass, they're spotting, they're helping new shooters. They're doing everything they can to be educational. They're helping new shooters. Some of the best advice that I have got has come from top level, world champion end of trail shooters, right? And I do hear these guys get accused of being gamers, and I think some of it's just sour grapes and jealousy because they're shooting faster than you. And they're shooting faster than you probably because they shoot more than you, they practice more than you. It's just a reality of the situation. How you get better is not only do you practice, but you've got to compete with people that are really good, right? You're only going to rise to the level of your competition. And if your competition, all shoots 40 seconds and you shoot 30 seconds, you're never going to shoot faster, right? If your competition all shoots 20 seconds and you shoot 30 seconds, you're learning from those people. You're watching what they're doing. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to get there. And a lot of times, like I said, these people are helping you out. I've never seen anyone in this sport that is only concerned with going fast and they don't help out. Sure, I've seen people that might not costume as hard as some of the other guys, but that's allowed, right? If we don't like that part of it, we got to change the rules. Okay. I think SAS itself as an organization does a lot to make it where you can compete in a way that feels good to you. There are ungamer friendly categories. If you're really worried about the gamers, classic cowboy and be Western, right? They have firearms restrictions that make it where if you're a true gamer and you're only concerned about going fast, you don't want to mess with external hammers, right? You want to run to the 73. You don't want to run a 94 or 92 or Lightning or something like that and be Western. So you have those costuming categories that you can do. Further, you could shoot black powder. You could shoot gunfighter or duelist. There's all sorts of categories and all sorts of different things that make it where you can do cowboy action in a lot of different ways, and really just the age-based categories, and especially in, cowboy and wrangler, I think that's where we see these people with the incredible times. They're young, they're virile, they're just able to do it better than some of the rest of us. And they're working for it. I don't think any of these guys that, have one end of trail, guys like, Deadeye Dillard, he has a ton of great videos on there. Guys like Mordecai the Hunter, I watch his stuff and learn from him. These guys that are that fast are often sharing and building interest for the sport. I think those are good things. So I don't think Cass has a gamer problem. I'm sure there's a few gamers. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there are no gamers. I'm just saying I haven't seen any. I'm sure they exist, but I don't think there's as many as you think they are. Now, like anything else, there sure are a lot of assholes. Okay, let's just say it. There are assholes in cowboy action. There's assholes in every single sport that you can get into. I come from 3-gun. Okay, I came to cowboy action because there's less assholes than there is in 3-gun. All right, so I really like the camaraderie and I like people in cowboy action. But it just happens. There are people that are curmudgeonly and not ones that you want to have a conversation with and things like that. But that's every sport, and you just got to do your best to avoid those. I don't think there's any more in Cass than anywhere else. Like I said, I think there's a lot less of them. But that is something that you run into. So I think what you can control in life is you, right? So if you just go out there and have a good time, I think that's what you'll be able to do. So I am here to tell you, I don't think there's much of a gamer problem in cowboy action. Feel free to disagree with me, and you can do so in the comments. You have a good one. Get out there and shoot.